Well, hey, we've talked football, and the last few weeks we've talked a ton of football because of the time of year we're in. But lo and behold, Major League Baseball has crept into our lives. And Cedric, it's a crazy story because Major League Baseball announced earlier this week that it was levying 1-year suspensions for Houston Astros general manager and manager. Then almost exactly at the same time, Houston fires both. Now we've seen the Red Sox fire their manager, all related to cheating, sign stealing that the Houston Astros have been doing for several years, and now it sounds like could be sort of filtering out to some other guys in some other places. But obviously the big bombshell relating to the Astros, their 2017 World Series championship, that year is right in the middle of all of this. This is really a mess, and Major League Baseball, they kind of went as far as they could under the rules they have, $5 million fine for the Astros. But really the magnitude of all this, it may not even, there may not be enough that they can do, Major League Baseball can do, to make up for the severity of this whole thing.
Exactly, and the one thing that I take from all of it is the owner. I just think that Jim Crane got away with something. He got off easy. We noticed in the literature that the MLB sent out, they put it way up early in the report that he had no knowledge of this, blah, blah, blah. They wanted to exonerate him for some reason. And to me, if you own a $2 billion company and you don't know what's going on in that company, then you're not doing as good a job as you could be doing. I'll put it like this. In my household, I grew up with mom, dad, and a sister. And if I had a problem and my sister had a problem, even if we didn't tell our parents, they could pick up on it. So I think that Mr. Crane got off really easily. $5 million fine, Jen. That team is worth $2 billion. So a $5 million fine is 0.25%. So that's like me and you getting fined $500. Oh, it hurts, but we can come up with that money and we'll be eating next week. So
yeah,
I wasn't that impressed with how he handled it. Of course, he was going to do the right thing and fire the two guys that are running the show.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Jen, after losing those draft picks, you still got Altuve, Correa, and Springer and Bregman. You still got those studs on your team, and you're still going to be competing for championships.
Right.
And most important, you still have that 2017 World Series trophy, even though if it is a bit tainted. The question I have for you, Jen, is in 30 years, will anybody even care about the Astros stealing signs in 2017? I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I saw some stuff in the aftermath of what happened earlier this week. Some people talking about the 1919 Black Sox and bringing that into the conversation. I don't know that it rises to that level. So if it does, I mean, if baseball people really see it that way, maybe you do have a memory of the sign stealing. And who knows? Like I said, there may be more shoes to drop. We saw Alex Cora get fired. There's talk about Beltran in New York. Might he be fired as part of this whole thing, as teams are worried that sanctions against those guys could leave them out of the game for a while? I don't know. I don't know how the fallout is going to be long term, because I think we're still seeing this develop. The Astros, that part of the story may well sort of be shaking down after the bombshells of earlier this week. But I think you're right, Cedric. I think as it relates to the Astros, I think, they are going to continue. They've got great players. They're going to go out and get a new general manager, going to go out and get a new manager, and they'll continue to win. Maybe not to that level, I don't know, but they're going to continue to be successful. The question is, can baseball get this stopped? Is the severity of what they're doing going to convince other teams, players, front office, whomever is involved in potentially similar types of activities, is going to convince them to stop? I do think A.J. Hinch, the manager for the Astros, who has been credited for a lot of their success, seemed to me, Cedric, he's a guy from here in the Oklahoma City area. He played high school ball in one of the suburbs of Oklahoma City before he left for Stanford and then Major League ball. But his statement to this point, he took blame for not doing more. He did apologize. I feel like he'll get back into baseball. Somebody will hire A.J. Hinch down the line. But, I think this it sort of remains to be seen. Is this a situation where guys get back in? Cedric, we've seen other instances, involving other things where guys don't get back in. I think this is a situation where these guys get another chance, but it's going to be interesting. I think the Astros themselves are going to move forward. Now it's going to be more on an individual basis. How does this affect those guys who have those bans on them, and how long do they have to stay out of the game?
Yeah, and I agree with you. They will get back in. If Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire can get back in as coaches, then you'll see A.J. Hinch again. And it's baseball, and if they're not cheating, they're probably not trying. And we lived through the steroid era, and we've lived through the sign stealing era. There are going to be other scandals. The game has always been awash in scandal. That's what makes it one of the most intriguing sports out there. Pete Rose gambling, Willie Mantle associated with gamblers, a Black Sox scandal. There's always been something with baseball. That's the problem the game faces, though. It's so much more exciting with the scandals off the field and those 4-hour games, watching guys adjust themselves. That gets old after a while, Jen.
I was going to say, I think people are more excited in the off season with all this news than they are once the games actually start. So we'll see. Pitchers and catchers, I'm sure they report in about the next 5 minutes because it's that time of year, and it doesn't take long after the World Series is over before that starts again. It will be interesting to follow, though. What are those ripples as baseball gets going again, and we see those guys back out there, and maybe more in the way of suspensions, fines, remains to be seen, but something we'll be following. We'll be talking about if it comes up again. Who knows, Cedric? Maybe there'll be more scandal in more leagues next week. Let's see what happens, and we'll talk about it next week on the Writer's Block. Be sure to join us then.